Hello friends, I'm Masood from the Neosod, and this episode is from Introductory to Advanced Python Training. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so, and press the bell icon to be notified when we post a new video. Well, let's go to the new topic called lists. What are the lists? Lists are a series of items that we come and put in a package, a box somewhere. Now, what are the items? The items that we want to put somewhere. These items can be anything, a character, a string. Because I know a number, a caret, a pair, nothing is important. We just put something in a package. We put a series of things. These actually show us how to create a list. Let me give you an example of a list. When I want to create this list, it is enough to create a parenthesis. Then I will create a parenthesis and put things inside them. What do I want to put in? I have a field, for example. In Pedo, I introduced a field so far, for example. There are empty fields. I don't want to enter anything. I'm going with a comma. I'm going to find something. I want to give a love number. It's not a problem at all. Now, what else do you want to add? Now we want to add a longer string, for example. Peaches. It's not a problem. Remember that I have a bunch of things in a package. Now, I can actually say that it's a list, and I can. Let me do some very interesting things. See, this is very difficult to transport. Suppose I want to use this every time, for example, in 10 places. Every time I can't collect this, I will take it somewhere and use it. All I have to do is take it here and there if I want. It will be much easier for me to use it somewhere. What do I do? What I've done so far, I told you all. First of all, I'm going to put it into a variable. For example, I'm going to call it I'm going to put an object. I'm going to put this into, actually now, it can be said that in Python, I put a label on this list. I wrote a method. I'm going to call the list. That's the purpose. So I'm going to. Well, the first discussion that I will do inside the lists is that each of these lists, like what I said in the fields, have a place in a house, and each of these houses has its own license plate. For example, this empty string that I introduced here is my travel house. A house whose license plate is a table. The next one is a house whose license plate is 1, the next 2, the next 3, and as I mentioned in the fields, this is actually a positive index number, being us for lists like strings. We also have an index number of that negative index, for example. The peach that I wrote at the end is -1. This is the first number that I wrote. First of all, its index or its license plate, or whatever you want to say. This is -2. This is 12. -3. This is -3. You can see there's a lot of confusion about what I said in the fields. How can I access these now? I said this again in the fields. It is enough for me to come and call the name of Motogear and say that now I will put a pair of these brackets in front of him and say that now I want to take the negatives. One, for example, I want to print it for me. I want to print it for me. I will also take a printout of it. And the one that is in the first house, that my list, the house whose index number is actually equal to 1. You see, I start from the row, so 1 becomes the second. Well, see that it returns 30 for me, for example. If I say yes, it returns 3/4, which is the index number. So, now leave -2 and -1. It returns the last -1. Low and peach, for example. Return -3 and 12 for me. That's enough. I can come and have access easily as this. Look, if I want to have direct access to myself, The answer is the same. Look, I know the 12. Every time I come to the series, I will complete this. I will take it myself. I will go inside easily. Now I want to make some changes to make it easier. We will see that I can easily make 3 changes on this list, and I don't need to take all of this to the program. Suppose you have 4 or 5 items instead of 4 or 5 items. All of you, the audience, take this to me. It won't be good anymore. So it's better to go inside a variable to get rid of this poetry. For example, suppose that you want to come and get this list, that is, make some changes to the last item in my list. So how do you come and get the last item? Just call my list and say which one to go for in my list. My house, which house do I want to change? Which house is the last one? The index is negative. You can easily hold this and now you can change it. What you want to do, for example, change it now, say hello world. Something like that. This is not hello anymore. So now if I come and call this, tell me to return the last one to me. If you see exactly, go back to hello world. I'm saying that this time it wants to go back completely. You can see that it is doing this for me. In fact, it comes and takes the first wish. That is the same thing that I wrote. Then it takes the last item. It makes a change in it, and it is cut for me here as well. That's enough. You can easily take these indexes or index numbers, remove the items from it, and implement any changes you want on the list you want. Or, for example, you can easily add another item to this list. What do? Now suppose that I come to wardrobe. I want to paste this wardrobe word at the end of this list. In fact, I want to add a new item to it. What do? I will add the list if you remember. I have briefly introduced the methods in the fields and told how they work. Here too, for the list, we have a series of methods of its own. For example, I have a method called append. Look, I open the dot and write the name of my method, open and close parentheses. Well, obviously, I want to append something to this list. Stick it for me. After you have done this, come and update my list again. If you pay close attention, you will see the difference between this and the above. In fact, the difference between this and what I wrote here is that one word has been added to the end, and if I come here, there is a minus one. To take it means to tell me the end. You will see that the word that I added here will be returned to me. Well, I have another method that does the same thing. The region with another difference. That is, see if I use the append method. This will be clear, and it will add at the end. It is also clear from the name, but I want it now. Let me use another method. This one has a very interesting name. It means you can see how the methods appear in Python. It's completely clear how it works. Now, I want to insert. I use the insert method. Insert means to insert. I want to insert. This time, I don't want to add to it. I want to insert. Pay attention. In the voice code, you tell me to hit the index. What does the index mean? That is, enter the license plate that you want to be placed inside. For example, if I go to the negative one, they will stick it. Finally, if I come and hit the cube, this will go to the first house, and this will be placed on me. This house it comes to the first house in the queue, and now it says, insert the desired object. Where do you want to put it? Leave it for me. This is helping me, and it determines what I have to put in. I actually call it the insert method now. For example, go give the word, and leave it like this. Now I'm going to save it. Let me return the list once. You can see that now it has put word as the first item for me. So you can see that it's very easy in Python. You can work like this English language. And now, for example, I inserted it. Insert is very clear. What is the difference with append? Append says to add a stop to it, then it goes and puts it at the end. But insert says to put it there. For example, I can say that. Come and put it in the second house. Where is the second house? You see on this list, this field is empty. 0 is 30. First is 12, then it comes to the place of 12. Then it pushes 1 to the right, 12. The same index becomes the second. Well, my friends, I tried to introduce the list to some extent. I also mentioned a series of methods, but now there are a few methods left. I will leave this for the next video so that it is not too boring. Thank you very much for calling so far. I hope it was useful for